late first half. Shotgun snap, Cousins. Hands off Robinson. Breaks a tackle over the right tackle, the 10. Breaks away at the 20. Down the sideline, 30. Chase to the 40. Foot race, 50. Down the sideline, 40. 30. Chase to the 10. 5. Touchdown! Touchdown! What a run! 93 yards! The terrific Bijan Robinson! Absolutely incredible!
Bijan Robinson is the one player currently in the National Football League where every time he gets the ball, you hold your breath, your heart skips a beat, because you never know when he is going to be gone. It's amazing. And there's so much to say about last night's game. How are the Falcons not better? They remind me of like one of those college teams that will have 4 first-round picks and they were 5-7. Like, how are they not better, especially when they have the best player in the league on their team, according to their head coach, Raheem Morris, who has said it multiple times this year, and he may actually be right. And with that, we say good morning for this December 30 edition of PFT Live. Devin McCourty is with me. So, Devin, how in the world are the Falcons not better?
It's a mystery. I mean, we've said it in the screening room multiple times this year of the fact that it feels like this team some weeks, they just don't show up. But you watched the game last night. You watched the other Monday night game where they played against the Buffalo Bills. Like, the talent that they have all over the roster, like that touchdown was right after an Xavier Watts interception, who had 2 interceptions on the night, who's a rookie this year, who's playing next to Jesse Bates, who was another great player at playing the safety position. Like, they have all these different guys who on some nights or some days make incredible plays. And then there's other times we turn on the film or we watch the game and we're like, who is this team? Like, they played the Carolina Panthers, who's a good football team, who are going to fight to be in the playoffs Sunday, but it was 30-0. They didn't show up. They couldn't do anything. And then you turn on the game last night, and they're going toe-to-toe, and they beat the team that I think a lot of people would put top 5 in the whole NFL, one of the most complete teams a lot of people feel like. And, I mean, for the better part of last night, they dismantled the Rams. Like, the Rams couldn't do anything until the Jared Verse blocked field goal attempt. It was just like, man, this game is incredible the way that they're dominating. And you just look and you're like, what is the exact reason? And a lot of times when this happens with a football team, everyone wants to point to coaching. But I would question everything about this team right now, of the leadership, of how do these guys just some days not show up? I get that falls on the head coach to have the team ready to go. But also, like, this is a National Football League. These are professionals. How do they also play some games where you don't do a good job tackling, you can't get open, you can't run, like all of the kind of fundamental things about football? How does that happen to a team so frequently throughout a season? I mean, it's a heck of a question, and who knows the answer as we prepare to see the Falcons next year after this week coming up.
8 straight years without a playoff appearance, the longest drought in the NFC. They haven't been to the postseason since the year after Super Bowl 51, a game that you know fairly well, along with the rest of us. In fact, at one point last night, they mentioned on the broadcast that the 21-0 lead the Falcons built, as they were teetering on blowing it, would have been the biggest lead the team had blown since Super Bowl 51. But I think you're right. This is one of those things that requires top-down, every nook, every cranny, every operation, every department, everything, to understand how collectively and cumulatively this team is failing to live up to its potential, because we see what it can do. If it only played in prime time, they'd be the 1 seed in the NFC. They're 4-1 in prime time this year. They beat the Vikings Sunday Night Football. They beat the Bills Monday Night Football. They came back from 14 down in the fourth quarter to beat the Bucs on a Thursday night a few weeks back. And then the last Monday night game of the year, one that when you first notice it's the last Monday night game of the year, you may have been tempted, as I was, to say, oh, man, come on. Hey, give me the Falcons. I'll make my early scheduling request for 2026 to the league office and specifically Mike North. Put the Falcons in primetime every week, please. Let's see them constantly. I want to watch Bijan Robinson. I want to see what they can do. They are fun. Their games are fun. The one they lost in primetime to the 49ers was still a good game that went down to the wire. There was a questionable call at the end on a touchdown. Guy got pulled into the end zone. McCaffrey got pulled into the end zone. Supposed to be a penalty. It wasn't. So they weren't blown out in that game. But, yeah, they'll have these strange lapses where they just don't show up. And that's part of what someone should be trying to get to the bottom of. And it could be why the news emerged. And it was kind of funny that while Matt Ryan was on air with CBS, Jay Glazer was on Fox saying that Matt Ryan is talking to the Falcons about a significant front office role, whatever that would be. And I'm not a big fan of the idea of let's bring in a guy who was a quarterback for us once upon a time and did well and have him do a completely different job that we have no idea whether or not he can do it. It's happened before. Maybe it's what they need. I don't know. I don't want to sell Matt Ryan short, but just because he played quarterback really well doesn't mean he walks through the door and fixes your problems. They need someone who can... And I don't know if there's anyone out there who can do this. They need someone who can figure out everything that's wrong and fix it because there's a lot that's right. That's the curse of what we saw last night. I think if I'm Arthur Blank, the owner of that team, I'm even more pissed off that we don't see that on a more consistent basis.
That was a conversation in almost any text message chain I was in with former NFL players, former college players, and teammates. Just like we watched this team, and I know Bijan Robinson jumps off the screen because of his play, but for me, it was everything. It was Kirk Cousins in there controlling the tempo of the game, handling the offense. It was his offensive line blocking, Bijan Robinson having these holes to run through. It was just so much right. The defense being aggressive under Jeff Albrecht, making plays. The secondary was aggressive. You just saw Matt Stafford was under pressure. He's having to make decisions. Yes, he missed some throws that he usually makes, and that stuck out in the game. But, he had to hit those throws for them to win because there wasn't many opportunities. It wasn't a game where we watched, this inferior team and inferior defense take on the top MVP candidate and just get killed. So you had to question that. It was like, where is this team most of the time? We're over here talking about the NFC South and how no one really wants to win the South and how it's up for grabs. And in the back end of all of those conversations, Sunday night when we were in studio, it was, hey, if the Falcons win the next two games, there's this three-way tie that could happen, and we're all kind of talking about it, and then you look and you're like, yeah, but the Falcons play the Rams Monday night. This is not really even in the conversation, and now you look up of what they did, and you're like, wait, this team that we just saw last night could possibly be the best team in that division, but they're already eliminated from playoff contention. So I agree with you. I think they will. I think when the season ends, I think Arthur Blank will come in and try to get to the bottom of it. I know for me personally, being in New England under Bill Belichick for all those years, and I know a lot has transpired since then, it does make you kind of question and bring up. Supposedly he had a great conversation with Arthur Blank. Supposedly they liked Coach Belichick. They wanted to bring him in, and now you look – It makes you wonder, hey, maybe if they would have brought him in at that time, this could look a little different than what it looks now. But I do wonder, do they put this all on Raheem Morris? Do they decide to change the front office with Matt Ryan's name being bounced around? I just wonder how it all comes apart, because if Matt Ryan gets in, he was there when Raheem Morris was coaching the wide receivers when we played them in the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 51. So there's some relationship there too if Matt Ryan's going to be a decision maker for the organization possibly.
2 points. First of all, while we were having the conversation on Sunday about the Falcons and this win 2 games, and it throws a strange, weird wrench, and we'll talk about that more coming up, into the Week 18 game between the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Somebody did mention the Falcons show up in primetime. Can't remember who, but somebody mentioned, Watch the Falcons. They show up in prime time. Don't assume they're going to lose to the Rams on Monday night. Of course, I could have put my money where my mouth is and picked them to win the game when we did our picks podcast last week, but I didn't. But now I wish I had, because they do show up in prime time. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.